But I'll tell you what I told him. I said, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for calling on me this time because, back of the bus as usual, but that's not uncommon for a bunch of white Democrats to keep a person of color who disagrees with them from speaking out against their ideology. And then I went on with my testimony about red flags.
I'm Josiah.
And I'm Adam.
We are Salata Gun Shop. Today we welcome Teddy Collins. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks
I've got, you've been running Spartan Defense.
Yes, sir.
For a few years now.
Yeah.
And now running for Senate District 4.
Yeah, to be your next state senator out here in Chaffee, yeah.
Replacing
Mark Baisley.
Okay.
He's endorsed me in the race. He wants me to fill his shoes. There's some big shoes to fill. Mark is the highest rated Liberty Score senator in the Senate right now, the state legislator. So
break that down.
Okay, so Liberty Score, they base upon the voting record of the state senator, the state rep, whoever it may be, and they basically get graded on a score of 100. Mark's at 96.
So, cow.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Yeah.
He's doing good stuff for us. He is one of our biggest and strongest advocates up there. I do joke with him that I'm going to beat his Liberty Score because it's not 100, but that's become a point of contention.
Yeah. So give us a breakdown of what brought you to Colorado.
Yeah, so I moved out here close to a decade ago. My wife was pregnant at the time with our first daughter. We were living in Corpus Christi, Texas, and at that time the border was like Swiss cheese. There was no hard barrier stopping people from coming in, and we were ranked the 6th murder capital in the United States per capita as a city. And it was all illegal aliens. It was all cartel related crime and human trafficking. So I did not want to raise my daughter in that environment. And at that time, Colorado was one of the best states to live. I mean, the area that I moved to, just out of Colorado Springs and Larkspur, up there, Colorado Springs metropolitan area was ranked in the top 5 cities to live, usually number 1 or number 2 by almost every single publication you can imagine. One of the highest quality of lives to live. One of the highest quality of life to live in. One of the best places to raise a family. And I have been visiting Colorado for years. I'm a mountain guy. I love to ski. I love to mountain bike. I love to do stuff out in the mountains, hike, and it just felt like the place to come, the promised land at that time. And I got to be honest, when I moved here, we had a Democrat House and we had a Republican Senate. So it was pretty bipartisan. Yeah. And I think that had a lot to do with why we were doing so well. But since I've lived here, that's changed. And we've had 8 years of partisan Democrat control. And now we are one of the worst states in every single metric. So, I moved here for the Colorado/American dream, and it's been slipping away day by day, and I can't stand it anymore. So, yeah. The thing that kind of got me looking into doing something political and trying to make a bigger difference than what I was doing was the death of Charlie Kirk. Okay. 100%. I was at his memorial in Woodland Park. He was supposed to be speaking there. He was killed the day before. It was supposed to be a speaking event that I was going to go to and attend, get to meet Charlie, all that kind of stuff, and turned into a memorial service. And sitting there and listening to what that man had accomplished by the time he was 30 years old, I mean, it's impressive. Like I had followed him for a while and I'd always been impressed by him, but hearing how he started a global organization by the time he was 30, how he had actually had an effect in politics on the grassroots level, and how he had actually been able to change so many people's minds by having tough conversations, it made me want to do more than what I was doing.
So when you guys moved up here, you said previously when we were talking, you did some training and were running some facilities down in Texas, right?
Yeah. So in Corpus Christi, I was a firearms instructor out there. I was a concealed handgun license is what they called it in Texas at the time. At that time, believe it or not, it was a 10-hour course with a shooting qualification. Now it is constitutional carry, and it's gone down to a 4-hour course that you can be done online with no shooting qualification. So it's like Colorado and Texas have reversed. Maybe I brought the bad luck with me.
Gosh, yeah.
Let's hope it's not me. It's not me. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you came up here, did you start working immediately for somebody in that same kind of vein, or?
So I did not. I was a firearms instructor, but I was also a realtor. I'd been a landman in the past, and I've also been a successful stocks and options trader. So I made my money by the time I was 30 pretty successfully. Guns has been always like kind of a hobby and something I've really dedicated myself to. I was even since college, I was my chapter chair for Students for Concealed Carry on Campus. campus in Texas, because at that time in Texas, you could not carry concealed handgun on campus with a license. We actually had that changed by the time I got out of Texas. So that was one of my first battles in the 2A. I was also one of the regional reps for the Armed Citizens Project. Have you ever heard of them?
It sounds familiar, but read me into that.
Yeah, so it's not an organization that's around anymore, but it was an organization with a great intent. It took instructors and it took gun shops that wanted to coordinate in order to provide training in firearms to lower income individuals that were in high risk areas. So specifically, we went after single mothers and things of that nature to basically provide them with a firearm to protect themselves in areas that there's a lot of gang activity, and also taught them how to use that firearm and store that firearm safely. And we did that all pro bono. It was all provided to them without a cost.
Is there anything like that in Colorado?
Not currently. That program is no longer in existence that I know of, but it's something that we should probably start back up again, honestly. I think it's a great program, and it really does help people, and it brings up the next generation of gun owners. Yeah.
So you're in Colorado, you're doing all of that.
Sure.
What made you shift into basically owning a gun shop, being the sales and the advocate for training? So,
when I first moved out here, it was always my intent to open a store out here. I saw the need for a good quality store that carried a diverse amount of product, and it had always been a passion of mine. So I always had that intent, but then COVID hit. Within a couple of years of being here, I think it was my second or third year of being here, COVID hit. And that was when I was planning to open my store. Luckily, I hadn't done that when COVID hit, because one, I wouldn't have been able to get any inventory. And two, the rules and regulations from the state as well as the city municipalities would have put me out of business almost immediately. I think I would have probably failed in that venture if I had done that. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So with the timing kind of working in your advantage, where is your shop right now?
Yeah, so Colorado Springs. I'm on the east side, Powers and Barnes over there by the Costco. Yeah.
How many people do you believe you've trained? Would you say on an average a year?
So I mean, as far as how many people I personally trained, I'm not personally doing the training aspect anymore. I have instructors that work for me to do that.
As a facility?
Yeah, I mean, thousands. Every year, I don't know what the number is per year, but I will tell you, when I was instructing, I have certified for concealed handgun licensing over 15,000 students myself.
Wow. Yeah. How big of classes were you running at that time?
When I was teaching, I was running 35 people classes at a time, and I was booked up usually 2 or 3 months out in advance. We were the number one training facility in Corpus Christi at the time. Out here, I will say there's a lot more competition, so classes aren't as desirable out here. I think that's going to change, though, because there's going to be some government pressure and red tape that people are going to have to go through. I don't think that should be the way it is, but I think that is going to change on the instruction side of things out here.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What's the name of your shop?
Spartan Defense.
Spartan Defense.
Yeah.
In Colorado Springs. And you guys, what kind of brands do you carry there?
So, I mean, we carry something for everybody, right? Yeah. We do have a lot of state exclusives, a lot of more niche brands. So give you an example, we're the top Staccato dealer in the state, top Atlas dealer in the state, Lago Alien dealer. We do a lot of things we have Bull Armory, Race City, some of your more niche brands. People come to us to find the things that are unobtainium, just like your shop. You got a lot of those similar brands, and you guys are doing awesome up here in Salem.
What do you think the demographic is for your area, like the population growth that you've seen in the years that you've been there?
As far as business, how much business has grown year over year? I mean, I have almost every year I've had at least a 20 to 25% increase in business. I mean, I'll just give you guys an example. And when I first started out as a store, I invested, I would think, around $60,000 into the store. So very low investment, mostly, guns on terms, things of that nature. Started out that way. Now we're doing 8 figures. So awesome. We're doing very well. Yeah.
And you're in the same facility that you started into.
Correct. We just keep growing, though. We just keep growing. So we're about to take over the whole shopping center pretty much. Yeah. So when we started, I think we were around 3,000 square feet as a store, and now we're approaching 10,000 squore feet. So every time availability comes, we acquire it, and we just keep growing. And it's never enough to store what we need to store. So
the organization part of it seems to shift. More organization, better organization. Yeah,
especially with state regulation.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gotten bad. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure y'all are aware of some of the bills that we have going on this year. It's going to hurt the small businesses, and it's going to hurt the family-owned and operated businesses like ours the most. And that's their intent. 100%. That's their intent.
And we kind of spoke a little bit before with 003 coming in August. They've got CPW basically standing up a program for training, and then basically creating a life cycle for that process.
Yeah. So do you know the background of why CPW ended up taking this burden and why that happened? Are you familiar with the reasons why they put it on CPW?
I would assume it's because they're the only ones with money.
Correct. So Polis would not sign a bill that increased the deficit.
Yeah.
And they basically passed this as an unfunded mandate through CPW because CPW is an enterprise. Right. And it's technically a monopoly for the government, but it's somehow separate. I don't know how that works, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Well, then the funds in parks are different than the funds in wildlife.
Correct.
And wildlife borrowed $1.5 million.
Correct. And now we're at risk of losing our funds from the Robertson-Pittman Act. So I think that they've bit off way more than they can chew, and hopefully our lawsuits over at the CSSA are successful so that we can strike this unconstitutional law down.
And we don't, we've had this conversation, the outdoors, wildlife, the parks, those are all things that we support. Like our local, guys on the ground, the gals, from the office to the higher ups have always been awesome. It just seems like they just keep getting, given a really bad sandwich to swallow.
I've seen the turnover at CPW. Yeah. I mean, they've all been replaced by loyalists at this point to the governor. And this is one of the biggest things. Like, I am all for protecting our parks, our wildlife, our nature, because I consider myself kind of a Teddy Roosevelt Republican, right? Mm-hmm. He started the National Park Service. And the reason he did that is because he wanted lands that would be preserved so that we could go out and hunt on them. Yeah. So we do have to protect our nature and things of that nature. There is a purpose for that. But at the same time, the current function of the organization, I mean, look what they're doing with fur trapping. Look at all this stuff. It's not within their purview, and it's not the original intent of this. So it needs to be looked at and potentially needs to be changed significantly.
I do want to touch on, I think it's probably 3 significant bills that we had seen. The new expansion on extreme risk protection orders. Yeah. We've got 1126, which is the expansion of dealers' requirements.
Yeah, we call it the home FFL killer.
Yeah. I think it was Sean Steele who had said roughly about off of his estimates of what it would cost small shops, we could lose another 60%. I think his first numbers showed
100%. And then also on top of that, it's not even the cost about it. A lot of home FFLs cannot meet those requirements because of HOAs. Yeah. Or, by the way, one of the requirements is you have to have live monitor cameras directly connected to the police department. That's impossible because in my municipality, the police do not offer that as a service. Yeah. So it's impossible to meet that requirement. And also, if you're a home FFL, now you have to have cameras in every single aspect of the business. Right. That's in your home that are going to be monitored by the police. That's some big brother stuff, man. That's scary. That being said, guys, these requirements, I mean, I'll give you an example. My shutters are on the inside of my store, right? Yeah. So that someone has to break the glass in order to cut. Yeah. That way it sets off my alarm, right? Under this new law, they would physically have to be on the outside of my building, which makes zero sense. And now I'm going to have to spend $70,000 to $80,000 to do so. Yeah.
I was wondering because I can't remember who had testified, but he's like, I just upgraded
my security.
The internal, correct. Right? And we have the bollards out there, and then I don't know if you noticed, we have an overhead gate that's on the inside. Yeah. So you would have to
do the exact opposite, which doesn't make sense. Yeah. It doesn't make sense because these people that are passing these laws have no idea what the hell they're doing. Yeah. They have no idea. They've never talked to a business owner that's in this industry. They haven't tried to come to the table and discuss things with us. Plus, let's be honest about this. Who are these laws punishing? They're punishing the victims. Yeah. We're the victims in these situations. Yet they can't even, in a lot of situations, hold the people accountable that are breaking into these gun stores. In my situation, they were back out on the street in the same week. They were on PR bonds.
So take me back to the scenario of that actual break-in.
Sure. So a couple years back now, I had 2 stores were broken in the same night. Mine was the second one of the 2. They stole a car, ran it through my store. And here's the funny thing, by the way, I was just putting up new bollards. And they hadn't been concreted yet. They were they were slated to be concreted the next day. So that makes it even worse. But even still, even if I did have those bollards, the speed at which the car was going and stuff like that, I don't think it would have made a difference. Right. And the fact of the matter is that they did end up catching the guys. My guns are, of course, still in evidence that they took. Luckily, they didn't. They were dumb enough not to take the expensive stuff, and they just took the junk. But at the end of the day, these people that committed this crime, they used 3 underage minors with an adult driver. So the criminals are smart. They're using minors for a reason. in the state of Colorado because we have almost no prosecution for criminal offenses if you're under the age of 18. It's almost non-existent. There's a lot of reasons for that.
I want to rewind. You said they took junk. The brands that you listed are
correct.
They
literally
very
passed
high.
by the cases for those. I'm not even kidding. They took
Wow.
cheap Century AK-47s and Glocks that they could probably put switches on.
Yeah.
Luckily, all of that was recovered, but again, they gave them probation and 100 hours of community service.
No way.
Yeah, not kidding. And they were here illegally, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's go to the illegal status for the county that you're in.
Sure.
And how they can arrest and how you mentioned it, soft on crime in Colorado.
Correct. And we're soft on immigration. So, people, they're all up in arms about ICE and immigration, but we have federal laws on the books and they need to be enforced at every level to make our community safer. Honestly, if an illegal comes into our country and commits a crime, it shouldn't be our problem. We should deport them. We shouldn't be housing them in our jails at a cost of $237 a day, because that's what it costs us as taxpayers, and housing them in our jails, feeding them and providing shelter. Now, don't get me wrong. Jail's not the nicest shelter, but at the same time, we're literally paying for that. And here's the big kicker. Law enforcement and jails are not allowed to legally report that to the federal government. It's a $50,000 fine if they report it per offense per person.
Where is that coming from?
That's coming from the state legislator.
Oh.
Yeah. That's something we need to change. We need to get better people in there that know how to fight, that know these issues, and that also are stakeholders, not just politicians telling you what you want to hear, because that's what we see a lot of. We see a lot of people get elected and they can't tell you why they're running, and they haven't been affected by a lot of these policies. Right. So having people, we've got Ava Flanell in there now. I'm running. We've got other people that are running across the states, and we've got other stakeholders, and someone we know in the industry might be running here very shortly, which I'll tell you later.
Wonderful.
But So the point being is we need stakeholders that understand their issues, that are business people, that understand what's affecting our businesses, what's affecting our life, and what's affecting us with crime. Yeah. We were talking about the juvenile situation earlier. I think I mentioned this to you guys. We just have right above 135 beds, I think, in the state of Colorado, if I remember.
In the entire state.
In the entire state, for a population of 6 million for juveniles. So they're literally having to decide, and this is why these underage minors were released so quick and given probation and 100 hours of community service, was because
via organized crime.
Correct. And by the way, this wasn't their first offense.
Oh gosh,
this wasn't their first offense. So they're repeat offenders, and they just keep. It's like a mill. They just let them out, and it's because they're literally having to decide: do we keep the guy that murdered 3 people, or keep the person who murdered 1 person? That's literally the equation with 135 beds that we're doing. There was a bill last year. When they passed 003 and when they passed all these regulations on gun stores, that would have increased the beds by 50 beds. Got voted down. Yeah,
because it was a party line
vote, and one of the Democrats literally stated on that committee, and it's the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life, that it would disproportionately affect her constituents in minority communities. Is she saying that minorities are more likely to commit crimes? I mean, that's what came out of her mouth as a Democrat.
That's pretty racist.
Yeah, it's the most racist thing I've ever heard.
Wow.
I'm curious, because you moved to Colorado, and you, going back to your statement, when you moved to Colorado, you were seeing it's the best place to live.
It's one of the best places to live.
I can honestly say, when the timeline is correct. Yeah. That was when I was leaving the Springs to come up here. Yeah. And I would say the Springs was actually a pretty nice place.
It's also ranked one of the most, it still is to this day, by the way, it's ranked one of the most conservative cities in the United States. Yeah. In the top 5. Yeah.
And what would you say has changed the most since you've been down there?
Crime and affordability. Crime and affordability have gone, crime is way up, affordability is way down. So, a lot of the affordability problems in Colorado is self-inflicted. It's inflicted by legislators that have never spent a day in the private business world whatsoever, have never signed the front of a paycheck in their life. They're putting so much red tape, regulations, and rules on businesses. I don't think I could open the business that I have today, and I don't think that you guys can open the business that you have today if we had started in the last 3 years here in Colorado, I would say.
I would say even on a local level, we would be very hamstrung, very red taped.
Correct.
Not even on a county or even state level.
Agreed.
At this point.
Agreed. It's bad. We have to get somebody in there that has business sense to fix the issues here in Colorado, that knows the issues that need to be fixed.
So not only are you running a shop, not only active in training and advocacy for Second Amendment stuff, what else are you doing in the state?
So I do own a ranch out in Larkspur. I have animals out there. I run a co-op with my neighbors and stuff, and I have in the past. This year I decided not to do that. It's been a little bit of a busy year, but no, other than that, I've been an advocate up at the Capitol for parental rights, liberty causes, and specifically the Second Amendment as well, especially the Second Amendment, I should say. I'm the vice president of industry now for the Colorado State Shooting Association. That's the largest state shooting association. We are the official affiliate for the National Rifle Association, but I do want to be clear that we do not take marching orders from them. We are completely separate. We take grant dollars, but they do not come with strings.
Okay.
There are some requirements we have to meet, such as holding a certain amount of shooting competitions a year and things of that nature to meet that. So basically think Texas State Rifle Association, Colorado State Shooting Association, same thing on the state level.
Different. Okay.
We are now the largest in the state and the best funded. And on top of that, none of our board members or our leadership take pay. So we are completely volunteer activists in the fight.
How many are in those roles at this point?
So we've got, I believe right now, 7 board members is where we're at. If I remember correct, it's either 6 or 7. I got to think. Yes, we'll say 7. 7 board members. And then we have a few volunteer office that are more like directors that kind of do the day-to-day operation for us.
Nice.
So definitely good that all the money that comes to us does stay directly in Colorado, stays in the fight. Not only are we suing the government right now, we actually were able to personally serve Polis with the lawsuit as well, and the state government, which he was surprised to see. From my understanding, it was a great day. And we're suing over 003, the semi-automatic ban that goes into effect in August, and we're suing over the excise tax. And we are bringing in the big legal guns. We're not just doing this solo either. We are bringing in outside 2A organizations like FPC.
Oh, awesome.
And we are using the best law firm that does this, and that's Mountain State Legal Foundation. So
Firearms Policy Coalition, FPC, when you kind of put this forward to them,
Correct.
Was it an immediate, or did they come to you?
We went ahead and directed the lawsuit, and then we got them to join in as plaintiffs, and also support-wise.
Awesome.
So, we're doing great. If you're not a member of CSSA, you should definitely join. The money does stay here in Colorado, and it doesn't go to people's paychecks, so it's a big difference between a lot of organizations out there. And we are spending it here. We are also affecting the political climate in Colorado. So we are giving out, we have a survey that all candidates must take if they want either our endorsement or if they want funds from our organization. And we are giving out $6,200 checks to as many people as possible from our small donor committee to act in races we believe we can flip. So, Danielle Lamont is one that we are looking at. Nate Marsh, who's running to take out Bob Marshall, one of the worst Democrats in the legislator, in my opinion, because he tries to play like a moderate, but he only votes like a progressive. And then also we have congressional races that we're involved in and things of that nature. So we are actively, the money that we are spending, we are affecting politics in Colorado, and we are making a change.
What do the lawsuits look like when you put them together and then bring them to who you're being served to, the governor of Colorado?
So, we try to be a little more creative in our lawsuits because, yes, we make the constitutional argument, right? But we have multiple plaintiffs suing over different reasons. So I'll give you an example. We have a broad coalition of 14 plaintiffs that are suing over 003. One of them is a good friend of mine, Israel Del Toro, senior master sergeant in the Air Force, retired. He was the only person to ever re-enlist in the United States military who was 90% disabled.
Wow.
He was a JTAC guy, burns all over his body, but I will tell you right now, he's the kindest human being you've ever met in your life. He's a customer of mine, and I love him to death. But the reason we're suing with him in this specific instance as this plaintiff is because Israel cannot use any other handgun or firearm than a braced AR-15 pistol because he's missing fingers and digits. So he cannot hold a standard handgun. He has to have a braced carbine, basically, pistol carbine. So this law, and this is something, by the way, we tried to get an amendment on for this law, and they shot it down, ADA compliance.
Yeah.
So that right there is one of our leading cases that I think that will have the biggest effect on 003. But we're also suing over other things. We're using the left's own tactics against them. So we have one of our members is a gay Lebanese Jew. And we are suing over racial discrimination. Yeah, good luck, liberal judge, deciding against that person. So, we're getting creative as well. We actually were able to skip the state courts and file directly in federal courts because we had the cause to do so. And we didn't have to wait for 003 to fully go into effect because the quick trigger activators went into effect immediately. And we were able to sue on that to get our entire lawsuit out there. Okay. So we're doing good. We're doing good. We probably saved several years of time.
Yeah. So there's been some movement in the Department of Justice on a federal level, moving the Second Amendment to a civil side, right? So
Sure.
it's civil rights.
Sure.
How does that
Should be.
affect
It
the
is.
type of lawsuit that you can bring forward to? Who ends up being involved in that type of investigation and or lawsuit?
So, I mean, on this level, civil rights is important, and that's one of the reasons we have the plaintiffs we have, and we have 12 other plaintiffs as well, religious, you name it. We have the plaintiff for it. But you're right. This is a big win for the 2A community on civil rights, because the Second Amendment is a civil right. It's one of your original Bill of Rights, the first 10, in my opinion. And people always ask me this, so they, especially on the campaign trail, or if I'm running against somebody, the politicians will say, well, I protect the entire Constitution. That's great. That's great. But without the Second Amendment, the Constitution doesn't exist, in my opinion, because it's the one that defends everything. So I think that this does make a big change. I will say that I'm a little disappointed, because I do believe that Pam Bondi should be doing more. To challenge these things. I do think that she should be getting out of the way of certain cases and recusing and or not defending cases in which there are obvious breach of our constitutional rights, whether it be Second or First Amendment. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got the 2 lawsuits, CSSA.
Yes. And we're going to file 2 more this year, but I'll tell you about those later.
Fantastic. What else are you doing in the state?
So also with the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association, I'm your vice president for FFLs across the state of Colorado. You're a member of, and we appreciate having you as a member. We have about 400 or 500 active members in the organization, and we represent about 2,300 FFLs across the state. We're the only trade association on the state level for FFLs. Yeah. So I do that as well.
As a trade association, it seems like it would be a great place for stakeholders when coming up with 003 or 1126 or...
They didn't even reach out to us, or they wouldn't even have a conversation. I mean, we did flip a lot of votes last year on 003 because not every Democrat voted for it. We were behind the scenes working on that, and we believed at one point we would have the votes to kill the bill. Unfortunately, you can't trust Democrats.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the firearms dealer division being stood up, being under the Department of Revenue, is there any pushback on that being a duplicative type of system?
There is. Unfortunately, there's precedent for it in California and Illinois, New York. There's precedent for many, many years. So it's definitely a harder legal challenge to make. Also, it wouldn't be very friendly in our jurisdiction to make it. Now, that being said, it might be more friendly in, let's say, Virginia. So let's see what happens there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your advocacy. Why are you going to the Capitol?
So a couple reasons. The thing that made so I've been involved in advocacy for years, like we talked about, right? The thing that kind of got me looking into doing something political and trying to make a bigger difference than what I was doing was the death of Charlie Kirk. Okay. 100%. I was at his memorial in Woodland Park. He was supposed to be speaking there. He was killed the day before. It was supposed to be a speaking event that I was going to go to and attend, get to meet Charlie, all that kind of stuff, and turned into a memorial service. And sitting there and listening to what that man had accomplished by the time he was 30 years old, I mean, it's impressive. Like I had followed him for a while and I'd always been impressed by him, but hearing how he started a global organization by the time he was 30, how he had actually had an effect in politics on the grassroots level, and how he had actually been able to change so many people's minds by having tough conversations, it made me want to do more than what I was doing. So I started looking at that time, and it took me a couple months to figure out what I wanted to do. And I started talking to all the, associates that I had up at the Capitol, all the friends like Mark Baisley in this current seat, and started looking for how could I be of use. And many of them told me they wanted me to run for the legislator. And Mark, I had reached out to Mark, and he said he wasn't going to be running for re-election in our district because he was going to run for a different office, which now we know is Senate.
Yes.
Correct. At the time it was governor, but and I didn't know if he was going to rerun as senator as well or not, but at the time it was governor, but now we know it's federal Senate, which we really do need him in there.
Yes.
He's very experienced, very, very strong fighter for civil rights, constitutional rights, and for parental rights as well.
Need to put in a good word for us so we can get him on.
Yeah, I'd love to. I will definitely get him on here with you guys. This is his district too. He's up here all the time. So no, but I reached out to him and he was like, I'm not running for that seat again. And I asked him if, we talked, and then I asked if I would have his blessing to run. And he said, you have my endorsement. So that's when I decided to, not quite yet. I thought about it. For a couple. There's a little bit more to it. I thought about it for a couple weeks, and I'm like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to put my family through this and things of that nature? I had a long conversation with my wife, my children about this. I have 2 little girls, 6 and 8, and I have a son due in about 5 days. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I have a lot. I have a lot on the line on this, we'll say. And the thing that pushed me over the edge and made me finally file the paperwork and make the decision to do this, my daughters had a threat against their school. They go to an elementary school with 400 elementary school children, and there's not a single armed SRO. They do have an unarmed SRO that's shared between 4 different schools for the entire district. And they don't have a single armed staff member. They won't allow it. They won't allow the FASTR program, which, by the way, if your viewers do not know what FASTR Colorado is, go to your school board meeting, advocate for FASTR Colorado to be approved. It's approved in 37 counties in the state of Colorado right now. And what it does is they go in and they take volunteers. It's not forced. Teachers, administrators, principals can go actually through their course, receive proper training in active shooter scenarios, stop the bleed, first aid response, and proper safety and handling. And they're tested to a higher requirement than most law enforcement agencies are.
Wow. So
it's a very good program. There hasn't been a single shooting at a school that's had a FASTR administrator or staff member ever.
So I want to lean into that a little bit because if we see it in our industry, I think the most, it's education, right?
Yes.
So the more people understand whatever it is, the tool, the process, the people that do it, whether it's hunting, firearms, driving a big rig, the more education you can get out there, it almost seems like that would be a no-brainer to bring to the table.
They don't want education, and I'll tell you why. And when I say they, I mean the left and the progressives, mainly the progressives, because there are some moderate Democrats out there that have come to the table in the past and do have a little bit of common sense. I won't say a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah.
But the point is that if you educate people, you empower them. They don't want people empowered.
Yeah.
On top of that, if you educate people, it takes away the fear around that item. They want fear. They literally rule this state off of fear.
Yep.
That's the problem.
I've seen that on a lot of the bills that
nail on the head.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Take out the fear. So circling back.
Sure.
You are advocating for the FASTR program, right?
Any program that can certify staff, administrators, teachers. And again, we're not talking about Miss Daisy, 80 years old here. She actually has to go through a certification process. We're not talking about just giving Annie Oakley a gun and let her run out there that's never had any training. No, this training is intense.
Why is this the first time? I've not heard of this.
I knew there was a program, but I wasn't.
So there's several, and FASTR is the largest. So I'm not advocating specifically for FASTR, but I am very good friends with the person who runs FASTR, Laura Carno. She's an amazing human being, and she is really helped the state and really helped keep kids safe.
What counties in your Senate district do have that?
So if I remember correct, it actually comes down to the individual school board in most cases. Now, when I say counties, I'm just saying it's approved in 37 counties. Now, the specific number of school boards, I'll have to check with Laura on that, but it's a significant amount of school boards. I know that there are some actually in, I believe, Park County is one of my counties. On top of that, we have it in Fremont. No, not Fremont yet. I'm sorry. I think it's Teller. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more rural counties where this is kind of being accepted.
A lot of times, yes, and that's the problem is because the person who ultimately makes the decision to let a program in like FASTR is the school board.
So how do you push or advocate for this on a county level? But I think it's not necessarily on a county level, right?
Yeah, it's on a school board level. So the issue we're facing in Colorado is we have the school boards have almost been completely taken over by the radical left. A lot of progressives, and then a lot of these people have actually pledged to not allow firearms in schools. So that's our biggest problem. But here's my concern about this. Why the heck are we letting school boards determine school security? I understand education standards. I understand all those, although I might disagree with their education standards. And I'm definitely not for centralized control in Denver. But if anybody should be dealing with security and law enforcement, it should be your chief law enforcement official, which is who?
Sheriff.
Your county sheriff. And you actually get to vote on them.
Yeah.
Correct. Like if we were to pass a law to allow the county sheriffs to set the standards and approve the programs for these schools, I'm pretty sure almost every single county in the state of Colorado, minus about 3, would have proper school security.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's how we change it.
Again, nail on the head of what's currently, I mean, we're seeing that.
Yeah.
Right? We have a great outside the school program and an instructor who's teaching kids trap.
Good.
Right? But
that's another thing. Why don't we have more shooting sports? And I mean, that's literally college scholarship right there.
Oh, yeah. What's crazy, and for folks that are out there, There's like free money on the table for these kids shooting trap.
No, they just won't allow it. It's insane. Whether it be trap or whether it be like Olympic style 22 shooting. Yeah. There's so much opportunity. And the great thing about shooting is shooting doesn't require physical strength. It doesn't require you to be genetically stronger or superior in some way. It's an equalizer. Anybody can go and literally learn how to shoot and practice and practice and practice and become good at it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What we're seeing locally, which I think you were alluding to, is the fact that we've got state champions. We've got these medal winning groups, and none of those trophies can be shown in the school.
Well, look at what they did in Arkansas. You saw what they passed there, right? Firearms education is mandatory in high school now.
Yes, I did see that.
It's Huckabee Sanders, man.
Good deal.
Yeah.
It should be that way, honestly, because going back to your comment of...
They don't want that, though.
Ruling in fear, honestly, like getting these kids to be educated on firearms.
Well, you the three of us are able to sit here. We're able to have logical and intellectual conversations.
That might be pushing it, but...
maybe a little bit. Maybe for me.
I'm quite dumb.
But the point I'm trying to make is that when you hear these gun control bills, when you hear these anti-liberty bills, when you hear that they're trying to do all these things at the Capitol that violate our civil rights, our constitutional rights here in the United States, what you hear is emotional arguments. Yeah. And then we show up and we argue with statistics and facts. They don't do that. That's how they roll. We've got to fix that.
That's like you talk about statistics and facts and stuff that they're going after, right? They keep on mentioning this stuff about ghost guns, right?
Such a dumb term. My God. Sorry. I mean, that it drives me nuts.
The thing that drives me nuts about it is now that they're calling firearms that have a serial number ground off them, those qualify as ghost guns. Which I was like, wait a second. So then I just randomly just started asking the questions of law enforcement. I'm like, how many ghost guns are you finding?
Yeah.
And
what's a ghost gun?
One of them said, I think I've seen one firearm in the last 10 years with the serial number ground off. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
No, agreed. It's they're legislating to go after something that's not the problem.
No.
If we want the root cause of problem with violence, it's a cultural problem and it's a mental illness issue. 100%. But yet, interesting fact. Did you know that there's only one state mental institution for criminal offenders in the entire state of Colorado, and it takes almost a year for them to even get into there to actually see a doctor?
Really?
Yeah. You want to stop, you want to nip it in the bud. We go after the mental health. We go after the root causes. We cut the head off the snake, not the limbs.
Yeah.
That's like the 6.5%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Initially, it was pushed as this is for mental health. 2 months later, they changed it into a cash fund?
Correct. I mean, well, if you look at the original way that the Prop KK is what we're talking about was worded on the ballot initiative, it was worded in a way where it sounded like all the money was going to go to veterans that were facing psychological issues.
Yeah.
And when you look at the details of it, it was like 20% and then 10%, I believe, or I'll have to look at the specific numbers, but then it was like 10% for domestic violence victims, and then the rest goes to a general slush fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. They lied through their teeth. Jenna Griswold should be in jail, in my opinion. She is the worst Secretary of State in the entire United States, and she's running for a promotion. We cannot let her get that promotion.
Yeah. And what puts people in a position like, I've done this so well that I should be upgraded to this? It makes no sense. You have no business.
I agree.
Her bold-faced lie to get the attorney general.
I mean, she literally lied a couple weeks ago that she tried a case at the Supreme Court. No, she didn't.
No.
Yeah,
I don't think she's ever been in a courtroom actually
checking.
Yeah, doing any form of trial. I know that she's written lawsuits and things of that nature, but yeah, she's lying through her teeth. She needs to be out.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I look at and I go, where are we going? What direction are we heading? Because we need more people like yourself in office. Common sense. Let's have a conversation, right?
Agreed.
Less bureaucrats, more
more
advocacy.
statesmen. Statesmen.
Yes.
Statesmen, not politicians. I don't like that word. I like the word statesman. At the end of the day, our job is to serve, not to, we need to lead, but we need to be serving our constituents at all times. And we're not seeing that. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of people. And I mean, I gotta be honest. The legislative pay is poor. I think it should be less, to be honest with you. I'm not going for the pay. Right. I'm going to lose money going. I've had to hire 2 managers essentially to replace me at the store. And I don't even think that's going to replace me at this point. So point being is that we need to get in there and we need to affect change. And we do need to have those tough conversations with the other side. I will say when I'm up there, a lot of the times, Democrats are on one side, Republicans are on one side. They don't really interact a lot. Yeah. That's a problem. We need to be interacting. We need to be having conversations. I mean, I've had some of those tough conversations with Democrat legislators. It's one of the reasons we were able to flip some of the votes on 003. I mean, hell, we got Mark Snyder to take his name off as a co-signer for 003 after myself and Ava and a few others sat down with them and chatted with them.
That was big.
It was
big. Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we had some really good momentum with that too. Squeak by-ish, but man, that was big.
Yeah. Tinfoil Tom at it again, trying to take away our constitutional rights. Tom Sullivan, worst senator in the state.
Man.
I haven't heard that comment before.
That's my nickname for him, Tinfoil Tom. Yeah.
Every committee meeting, he just goes off the rails.
He was going off the rails the other day on ghost guns and barrels and this.
You heard about the gun acolytes yet?
Oh, yeah.
The what?
I don't know who was behind that. But yeah, there's some gun acolytes that are trolling him in testimony around the Capitol right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Really? Huh. I'm gonna watch some YouTube on that.
Yeah, I'll send you a video of it later. You guys should post it. It's hilarious. There was a cigar bill, and they all these people that testified. It was all they got up there and they said things like, "Oh, there needs to be a permit to puff." Okay. 3-day wait, a training class of 8 hours required, plus fingerprinting in order to purchase. So if we could save one life from tobacco use, then this bill is worth it. Things like that. Don't get me wrong. I was all for the bill actually reducing the excise tax on cigars, but we knew where it was going, and he lost it, man. He lost it.
Oh, wow. He always seems to come at this at such an emotional level instead of an understanding of how he's affecting businesses, individuals, and logic.
I'll give you an example of how this is not logical. And I got to say, I as a father could never imagine going through what he had to go through with the loss of his son in that theater. Yeah. But I will also tell you that there was a bill last year that would have, and this is kind of a tricky one for me too, because it does go against free enterprise in some way, but at the same time, the Second Amendment tugs at me too. And this is the way it is in some states as well. There was a liability bill that would have put liability onto companies and businesses that restricted the carry of a firearm if they didn't provide adequate security in order to protect individuals on their property. So if you take away my right to carry, essentially, and I get harmed on your property, someone attacks me and I was disarmed because of your policy, I could sue you. That's exactly what happened in the theater that his son was in. Concealed carry was not allowed in that theater. There were several concealed carriers that night. There were several families that sued over this. And because of the state law, those lawsuits were shut down against Cinemark. And he voted against that.
Really? No. Doesn't logical. It doesn't make any sense.
He's so in the pocket of the anti-gun lobby. I mean, look how much money has been put in his race on the soft side from every town, from Moms Demand Action. And the thing that we're facing on the 2A community and activism is when we're up there, they like to play games with us. They like to change our testimony times right before testimony when they see that we have a big turnout to the next day or something, just to demoralize us. But yet the commie mommies show up all the time as if they knew it was happening several days earlier. They're getting a heads up. And I think we can core that. And I think we should core that.
There have been a few instances where people seem to be removed from giving testimony. Have you been a victim of that?
Almost. One of the times I was up there testifying actually this year, I have my gun pin, which I always wear when I wear my sports coat or my suit. And they asked me to remove it. And I'm noticing people walking in on the other side of the aisle that are wearing, Teachers Association and, things of that nature. Even one of the legislators had a socialist sticker on their laptop on the stand there. And they asked me to remove my pin or else I'd be removed from the from the chamber. So I took my pin off and I went to go do my testimony. And this actually, Ian Escalante from RMGO, who I consider a friend, was there with me. Had the same thing happen to him. So we slapped our pins down on the desk while we did our testimony and made sure they were visible. So, I'll push back where I can. Also, I've given some pretty fiery testimonies in the past. One of the examples was the red flag bills, which we talked about earlier. They skipped over me. There was a bill by Representative Slaw that would have removed red flag requirements across the state. We knew it wasn't going to pass. It was more of a messaging bill. But I signed up to testify in favor, and I waited 3 hours to testify. They purposely skipped me because the committee that was there is not very friendly to me. It's more the progressive side of the party, and specifically one legislator in specific who was running as the backup or the substitute for the committee chair for that because the other one wasn't there. Purposely skipped me. And keep in mind, like, I'm very close with a lot of the legislators, so I'm over there texting Scott Bottoms, texting Brandy Bradley and Stephanie Luck and being like, hey, are they going to call on me? I'm with the CSSA. I'm a stakeholder. Usually they call us first. It's been 3 hours. He's like, yeah, they know your name. They're going to call you, yada, yada, yada. And, I'm just texting back and forth with them. And then my name never gets called. And they are trying to raise that to them. They're trying to tell them, hey, you need to call this person. You need to call this person. I'm in this case, I'm on the Zoom chat. I have the hand raised in the Zoom chat, so they know I'm there. Yeah. They don't call on me. They purposely skip me. The next bill comes up. I'm signed up to testify on that. That's an expansion of red flag laws, which I testified in opposition of. So I let them have it a little bit. And I specifically called out one of the legislators in the response after I got asked a question. But I'll tell you what I told him. I said, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for calling on me this time. Because, back of the bus as usual, but that's not uncommon for a bunch of white Democrats to keep a person of color who disagrees with them from speaking out against their ideology. And then I went on with my testimony about red flags. And then Stephanie Luck, Representative Luck, who's awesome, followed up with a question to me. And she asked me, Mr. Collins, is there any amendments you would present to this bill to try to make it better? And I said, Representative, thank you for that question. Yes, I think we should present an amendment to this bill that allows citizens of the state of Colorado to red flag legislators, specifically legislators who say crazy things on the floor like they have mental illness issues, or legislators that say they didn't realize they were gay until they saw a young boy who was the gayest little thing they've ever seen in their life. Yeah. And that's when they realized as a man they were gay. That was Chad Clifford, by the way. He said that. He's on the record saying that. And he was the person on that committee I'm talking about. He turned red. And all the legislators on our side were cracking up. It was amazing.
That's a really good answer.
You don't shy away from it. No.
Yeah. I am not afraid to use their own tactics against them. I'm not afraid to use their own tactics against them. And to be honest, I will always go with sugar before I go with salt. You catch more flies with honey than you do with salt. But at the end of the day, there are some that are just bad actors. I'll put it that way, bad actors. And it tends to be the most progressive side of the Democrat Party, not the Opportunity Caucus people, because a lot of them can tend to be reasonable and work with us in some situations. It's the progressives. It's the socialists. Yeah. And those people, there's no winning them over, ever. Yeah. I'll keep trying, but you got to write them off at some point.
Yes. A lot of their testimonies end up being repetitive. Like they're saying the same thing.
And a lot of it's BS.
Yes. Yeah. No true facts are being said. It's emotion and I feel for everybody that comes to
I do too.
Testimony for that.
But they're blaming the wrong problem.
They are. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you can see it in the kid that was arrested in the shooting.
Yeah. Mental illness. Mental illness, 100%.
Come on.
And yet we don't have the right resources. Like, I got to say, I am against any form of taxation on our constitutional rights. I'm against most taxation in general, if not all taxation. But that 6.5% excise tax, I would have much rather it gone to mental health.
Yeah.
Fully mental health. That's not what it went to. That's how they justified it for a small percentage. Every single dime of it should have gone to mental health.
Do you know what the fund is up to at this point?
I've got to take a look. The numbers keep increasing, but at the same time, I do know that a lot of it's being pirated to a general slush fund. Not all the funds are going where they need to be going.
I heard a number the other day that was very interesting. It was a second quarter of 25 was like $1 million something.
collected.
So I have a theory that because of the loss of FFLs in the state of Colorado and people trying to avoid this excise tax by buying online and transferring into gun stores, which is a problem I'm sure you've seen a lot, and I have as well. I have a feeling that they're actually collecting less sales tax revenue from the gun industry. Now we'll have to wait until the end of this year to kind of correlate that information, but I bet that that's the case, that they're actually losing money because of this.
The numbers that were put out there, I believe even Ava Flanell had brought it up.
Yeah.
Like it's significantly like the gun industry, period. The outdoor sporting goods industry is huge in the state.
It is.
And I don't know if you've seen the 3 ballot initiatives, but they are going to try and move the money collected from sporting goods stores to another fund, another
completely into a slush fund.
Yeah. Removing it from Tabor.
This is a problem. And Tabor is something, we're one of the only states with something like Tabor. I don't know if you knew that, but I think we are the only one with something like it, if I remember correct. And the problem is they are so creative. They really are, that they've found ways around Tabors through fees by not calling them taxes and charges and things of that nature. That's not the original intent of Tabor. We need to strengthen Tabor. We have to. Maybe we do it through, I don't know, ballot initiative may be tricky for us in Colorado right now. But luckily we do have some good things that did make the ballot this year. Are you familiar with the Protect Kids?
No. Did that make it?
Yeah, it did. All 3 of them did. So I'm actually the only candidate that's running in Senate District 4 that actually carried those petitions myself.
Awesome.
Volunteered.
Really?
Yes, volunteered. My wife, myself, we collected over 1,000 signatures.
Nice.
So I like to tell people, I put my money where my mouth is. I'm not just all talk. I'm not some career politician. I actually have my heart in this, and I'm doing this for the right reasons. And those petitions are going to be on the ballot. So we have some really good things going on. No boys and girls sports from K through 12.
Yep.
Okay. That's great.
Yep.
That's obviously, and girl spaces. Great. Human sex trafficking of children being increased from a misdemeanor to life in prison. Right now it's a misdemeanor in Colorado.
Right.
Think about that. Right?
What?
Yes.
Didn't they just kill a bill that would increase protection?
They did.
Just completely dead.
They did. And then last but not least, no transgender surgeries on minors.
Okay.
Those are 3 that I think are going to make the ballot and pass the ballot because I don't believe those are partisan issues. No. There are some very loud and obnoxious people on the left side of the aisle that are against those things. But I think the average American and the unaffiliated voter are for those things, are for these actions. Yeah.
So kind of going to the unaffiliated, those that are independent in the state.
Yes.
We've had that conversation with a couple other, people in understanding like it's like 23%. 20% that are registered one way or the other, and then
party side,
man, you've got 50% plus.
I'm actually a victim of this myself. It's more than just choosing to be unaffiliated. So like in my situation, I moved from the state of Texas. In the state of Texas, you are in an unaffiliated system in general. You literally go to the ballot. You get to choose which primary you're voting in.
Okay.
And then in Texas, we have the Texas two-step in primary. We have the caucus system separate from the primary. It takes place after the primary. It's kind of interesting. But point being is you don't register as a specific party. So when I moved out here, not being directly involved in politics when I got here, I didn't know that. So I went years as an unaffiliated because the DMV auto-registered me that way.
Yeah.
The majority of people that are unaffiliated in Colorado do not know they're unaffiliated. Do you have any idea how many people I've met on the campaign trail that are like, oh, I want to support you. I want to vote for you in the primary, or I want to come to the caucus. And they didn't realize they were registered and unaffiliated. I was just at a meeting in Custer County recently where 2 people that were heavily involved in the Republican Party were registered as unaffiliated, and they didn't know that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Never run as leadership. So that's how they didn't know. But still, they were registered that way. They had to fix it. And I had to do the same thing. Yeah. There was a bill that I actually testified. And here's the other little kicker, okay? When we talk about walking the walk and not just talking the talk, only candidate that's actually testified this session.
And how many times have you testified this session?
Over 30.
And
testified over 100 times at the Capitol so far.
I was going to say, in the past, I really dove into it last year, just watching what's happening and seeing the people that are in the industry that should be strong stakeholders for the bills that are going to affect those types of businesses.
Correct.
Giving testimony and just completely being brushed off to the side. Like
it happens.
Yeah.
So, it is discouraging when you go up there to testify sometimes because they're not going to listen to you in most cases. No. But here's what we're doing. We're putting ourselves on the record and showing a resistance, because if we don't show a resistance, they're going to pass whatever pipe dream they want because they know that there's nothing to stop them. Yeah. And also we're killing time. The legislator has to operate for a specific number of days every year. If they run out of time, which does happen, The other bills that have been filed are dead automatically, and they have to be reintroduced the following year as a brand new bill.
Yeah.
So think about, there's a lot of times that I go up there to testify. Maybe there's 12 or 15 people, or in some cases, maybe there's only 5 people testifying. And in some cases, even not anybody shows up to testify. But they pass 650 to 750 bills a year through the legislator.
Which is crazy.
Can you imagine that number?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. But imagine, though, if we had a group of dedicated people. And by the way, folks, you don't even have to testify there.
Yeah.
You can literally zoom in now and do that. If we can kill their time and double or triple the amount of testimonies we have for every single bill, we've just reduced the bills significantly they can pass per year. And we've just killed some of the worst ones because now they have to prioritize what is their priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really drives home what Adam and I have been trying to push is accountability on a personal level.
Sure.
Like instead of us going to you and saying, you've got to be accountable for me. Like,
sure.
I've got to be accountable for my vote for you, and I've got to be accountable for showing up for the things that do matter and that affect me.
I'm only as strong as my constituents. I'm only as strong as my supporters, those that come out and volunteer, those that support my campaign, those that support me up at the Capitol and come to testify. If I have no one show up to testify for my bill, you're guaranteed that it's going to be shut down. If people do show up and it's a strong, overwhelming presence in favor of that bill, maybe I am able to pull enough Democrats to vote for it because they see the optics in order to pass the bill. But if no one shows up, it's a guaranteed failure. Yeah. It's a guaranteed failure. You got to have someone that excites people and that energizes people to get out and get involved, because we're I don't like to use this, but let's say that your senator, your House rep, that they're your general in battle, right? Mm-hmm. You got to have troops. Yeah. You got to have troops, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've noticed, watching a lot of the stuff on the floor from the well, we've got Bradley, Luck, Brooks, DeGraff, several others that are putting forth these amazing amendments that should be considered strongly, and there's no conversation.
Correct.
It's, I don't support this bill. Yeah. And that's it. There's no argument to it. It's, we strongly suggest you not support this bill. Yeah. And then they go to vote, and it's complete party line.
It is.
No consideration. No, like you're saying, they're on either side.
Can I give you an example of one that just recently happened? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Mark Baisley introduced a bill that would have required if school teachers in education were fired for severe reasons, that there was a registry of that so that other schools can see the record, because this is a problem in one of my counties in Jefferson County. In Jefferson County, there was a teacher that literally went between school and school in that county as well as other counties and sexually assaulted children.
Whoa.
And the school, instead of prosecuting and arresting, they fired and swept it under the rug because of bad press. This happens a lot.
Yeah.
So we need that. And that's something I'm going to present to Protect Kids Colorado, Aaron Lee, who's a friend of mine. And I'm going to try to see if we can get that on petition for next year, because we need to hold these people accountable and make sure that our children are safe in school. Yeah. When I go to drop my children off, I want to know that they are protected like every single other valuable thing in life is, through armed security, and also from the people closest to them in that school, that they're being served by the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is a huge one.
Well, here's the crazy thing about it. I was one of like maybe 12 people that showed up to testify in favor of that. Mm-hmm. Every single testimony was in favor, and then one person showed up and testified against it, and it changed the entire mood of the room. It's the teachers union.
What?
Yeah, CEA.
Why?
By the way, they sent me their survey to fill out because they wanted to promote me as a candidate if I answered the right questions on the survey. Mm-hmm. I'll just be honest. I sent them back a middle finger emoji. I don't think they like that too much. So
what possibly went through their mind? Like, this is not, like, what's their argument for this is not a good bill for us to consider in the state to make sure that our children are safe? Like, what logical sense?
Their reason is that it's hard for them to get teachers. So they don't want to discourage teachers from applying.
Stop touching our children.
That's right. That's right. And that's why they have so much power, and they are not in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
We're in a bad place there. And that's something I plan to run myself again as one of my 5 bills that I'm able to run every year. That's one of the bills I do plan to run again, but I also plan to try to take it to the petition level and try to get it on the ballot through ballot proposition.
That's like continually lowering the bar so that there's somebody there instead of continually raising the bar for people to meet that expectation. Like, you keep lowering it. What's your expectation? Like, you're just going to keep getting worse and worse results.
Yeah.
I don't go to the range and expect myself to do better if the bar is this big.
Agreed.
Like I go and shoot with good people. I go and invite people that want to get better so that I can be better. I can learn something new. It's like,
and this draws into another issue we have in the education system in general is something like this, the bar, right? So let me ask you a question. You graduated from high school, right? Mm-hmm. How much of your junior and senior year have you used in business?
In business, in junior and senior year.
I mean, you learn your algebra basically freshman and sophomore year, right? Yeah. You start getting into advanced academics that are generally a college preparatory level, right?
Yeah.
Not every kid's going to college.
Right.
We want to make this state more affordable. We need trade schools.
Yes.
Junior and senior year, let's teach those that are not on the college path, because many are not on the college path and they know that by junior year. Yeah. Let's teach them trades. Let's teach them to be welders, plumbers, things where they can make a good living. And let's also teach our children to be entrepreneurs, not worker bees.
I think we've talked about it before. Like, we came into this, I think, not even knowing, like, how do you run a business? Like, we love doing this.
We figured it out on the job.
Exactly.
On the job training.
Yeah. Great support from our community.
Agreed.
And just the love and the heart of hard work, really.
Yeah. Agreed.
And the next thing you know, you're on a podcast and on social media, thanks to Sydney.
Yeah.
There you go.
I know on my understanding of academia, like, there is a certain level of
pressure.
To do and create a line in the sand, like, well, we've got to achieve this.
Correct.
We've got to teach this. I'm like, no, that person's going to be a nurse. They don't need to know about this.
Exactly.
Exactly. And really promoting those that want to be.
Yeah, and by the way, that's done in the West. The way it's done in a lot of other countries, and they have less poverty level because of that in a lot of other countries, because they teach. I'll give you an example. Croatia and a lot of the European countries, they do exactly what I'm talking about. They go to sophomore year in academics, and then they go to what they call college for 2 years, or trade school for 2 years, and then they go to university if they decide to go on the college path.
Okay.
But in that trade school, they get to learn a skill that they teach a man to fish versus giving him a fish. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, because there's plenty of kids that I went to high school with that I knew were not going to college, and they knew they were not going to college, and it was not the right path for them. They could have learned a skill where when they graduated high school at the age of 18 as an adult, where they could have been able to support themselves and stand on their own versus working at a McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah, you still make over $20 at McDonald's.
I mean, in Colorado, you do.
Yeah.
A lot of
by the way.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of the successful kids that we've seen grow up are doing the trades.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur.
You like plumbing example. Plumbing is a very secure industry. Mm-hmm. We're always going to need plumbing, and we're always going to need humans to do that. And it's a very lucrative job. And I will say, though, is it comes back to affordability as well. If we have more competition and more trained tradesmen out there, it brings the cost of living down. It brings the cost of repairing things down. It improves our infrastructure as a society where we should be investing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that it is weak leadership or evil that is more of a threat in Colorado at this point?
Honestly, I don't think it's either one of those. I think the biggest threat in Colorado is not being unified. And what I mean by that is the Republican Party is pretty split. And don't get me wrong, I'm a staunch conservative, but I also have a lot of friends on that other side of the aisle in the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. The Democrats have a large majority in our legislature, okay? And they are just as divided as we are, if not more divided. If we could just come together as a party and divide and conquer, we could take our state back. Yeah. And I think we have a good chance at doing that. We're progressively seeing that. We're seeing that in the last election cycle where we picked up 3 seats where we weren't supposed to pick up any. Yeah. It was a bad year for us in general, but we picked up 3 seats. Mm-hmm. This year, we're expected to pick up more. And by 2028, I think we're going to have the majority again. It may even happen this year. That's a longer shot, but it may even happen this year. If people show up and vote and make it too big to rig, and we will do fine. Yeah. We will do fine.
Showing up to vote.
Showing up to vote. Yep. Show up to vote.
Yeah, go in person. Don't mail your ballot in. I don't trust the Postal Service. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I send guns, I don't send them by the Postal Service.
Nope, we can,
but it's like the worst way to send anything. So, yeah.
So back to the ability to turn and gain more positions, CSSA is really pushing those small minor, and Adam's brought it up several times where, I mean, it's percentages, like very minute percentages that if people had just shown up to vote,
we would have taken the seat.
Yeah.
And people out there that say their vote doesn't matter, that and I get the concern around voter fraud and things of that nature. I have my own concerns with that. I get that. But if we actually, there's one way we will definitely lose. And that's by not showing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw this, Rebecca Kelty, who's a friend of mine. She won her seat by 3 votes, man. She took a Democrat seat by 3 votes. That's one of the ones we flipped in the last election. So don't say your vote doesn't matter. Get out there, vote. Bring your neighbors, bring your mother, your father, your children. If they're old enough to vote, bring them and take them to the polls and vote.
What about your dead grandpa?
I mean, that's the Democrats' tactics.
That's yeah. Yeah. Check your affiliation.
Check your affiliation. You can go online now and do that.
Yeah.
I found that out recently.
Yes.
And you can go online and you can change that. And by the way, there was a bill that we ran this session, and I testified in favor of this one, that would have made it where you had to physically choose an affiliation instead of it auto defaulting to unaffiliated.
It almost feels like a freaking auto subscription.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. When you go to register, when you go to change your license out, you're automatically getting registered to vote in the state of Colorado.
Yep.
Here's the thing. You're never unregistered to vote unless you physically do it. That's a problem. You know how many people moved out of the state that are still getting ballots to their homes and stuff?
Really?
Yeah. It's a thing. It's a thing. Our voter rolls are bad. We need to purge them, and we need to make sure that if, for example, if someone doesn't vote in the 2 previous elections, they should have to re-register to vote because maybe they don't live here anymore.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. Maybe there's probably a better method than that, but that's just brainstorming.
Yeah. I like it.
Like always, everybody, thank you for watching. Appreciate all your views. Where do they go?
CollinsforColorado.com with 2 L's and spelled out 4. CollinsforColorado.com.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah.
And always like, comment, subscribe, share this information, and get out there and vote.
Thank you for having me on tonight, guys. God bless America, and God bless the great state of Colorado.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Teddy.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks for watching.
All right.